Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Prospero.ai stock market live streams. It has been a minute since we've been live on this channel, so there's going to be a lot to recap today and go over a lot of great stories happening in the market. Some big moves going on here throughout the day today. Let me just text George real quick. He's tuning in today. He's back in the US. He just got back from his London trip, so he'll be in here in a moment. And yeah, let's go over some of the QQQ and SPY net options sentiment we are looking at in the Prospero app. Right now we have QQQ at 27 and SPY at 11. And interesting day today because we're seeing some big moves by a lot of the momentum stocks. Well, I guess previous momentum stocks before they had their big pullbacks. But a lot are climbing today, like ASTS, Oklo, HIMS, many more. A lot of those momentum and growth sectors are recovering, but the market is overall red today for the QQQ, the SPY, the Dow. The Russell is actually in the green here, and the VIX is in the red. I will take you all through some of the topics we're going to be going over on the stream today. If it's your first time here, welcome. Smash that like button if you're watching on X or YouTube. Welcome to the stream. I'll take you through our list, and then we'll get into all the topics one by one. And at the very end of the stream today, we will do the model portfolio update. Hopefully, we get a little recap of George's trip. He's back from London, and he gave a presentation at a Finimize conference for Prospero. So we'll hear how that went right away. And then we'll do a little macro catch up. We have a Fed rate cut expected to take place next week, and we have the betting markets now predicting who the next Fed chairman is going to be. Over 70% of the bets are going on one name now. So I'll let you guys know who that is if you haven't heard yet. But it looks like people are zeroing in on who's going to be Jerome Powell's replacement very soon. Then we'll go over, haha, Mario's here. What's up, Mario? Welcome back. Long time no see, everybody. A nice day for quantum stocks. Yes, quantum, nuclear, anything growth related, it seems, is recovering quite nicely today. Some of those stocks that had been flying before we saw this market weakness are now regaining some momentum. So we'll see if this is a one-day thing or if this continues. But definitely good to see, we're getting close to that Santa rally type time for the markets. So good to see those stocks back in the green. We saw some good holiday spending from Adobe Analytics. George is saying ASTS. Yes, you've probably heard us mentioning ASTS a bunch on the streams, right? It was one of George's favorites leading into their launch in December, and it is up how much today? Like almost 20%? Over 20% now? Let me pull it up. I'll try to see. No, it's approaching 20% on the day. So yes, crazy day for ASTS and ASTS shareholders. So back to the holiday spending. It rose 7.7% year over year for the 5-day stretch of Thanksgiving shopping. I was chatting with my family. I was asking everybody, are you planning on doing any Black Friday shopping? And they were like, no, not really, because the day has stretched into like multiple days, and the sales, they last over the weekend. There's Cyber Monday. Some companies get in on the discounts early. So it seemed like everybody was kind of not so into the shopping. So I'm wondering if anybody watching, did you guys do any Black Friday, Cyber Monday, any holiday shopping, any scooping up of deals? Let me know in the chat. ASTS was actually on my list of stocks to cover. ASTS and Oklo specifically, with what we're seeing today out of both of those. ASTS, I'm not quite sure why it's rallying so much today. I know Oklo is probably rallying off of Jensen Huang's appearance on the Joe Rogan podcast. He talked about the importance of energy over the coming years and nuclear and specifically SMRs. Standard deviations in the chat. What's up? No Black Friday shopping here. I did partake. I actually bought a new tennis racket, but I think they gouged me. I thought I was getting a great discount, but I'm pretty sure after doing a little more research after I bought it that the price was risen, or they raised the price and then they dropped it with a discount. I'm pretty sure they got me in that sense. But what are you gonna do? It's a nice tennis racket. We'll see if it helps me helps my game out. But yeah, that was the only thing I got this Black Friday, Cyber Monday year. I also want to bring up on the stream today this really interesting chart I saw, which was done by Let me find the photo I have. Goldman Sachs reported this information of if you track the gains of the S&P 500 with and without the AI stocks included, they didn't give an exact list of like what quote unquote is an AI stock. I imagine it's the Magnificent Seven and many other tech stocks that are, highly tech and AI related. But it's pretty staggering when you look at since November 30th of 2022, which was when Chat GBT launched. So we are actually just after like past the 3-year mark of this whole AI revolution kind of kicking off. So pretty crazy. But yeah, I'll save the exact stats for with and without AI and the gains of the S&P for when we chat about it later. But it is worlds apart, so it's pretty interesting to see like just how focused the market has been on basically purely AI plays over the past couple of years. We'll see if that continues over the next 3 years. Like, are we hitting a peak, or are we just riding this wave and it's going to keep on going? Another stock we haven't chatted about much, but Warner Bros. Discovery is getting some bids. It looks like they're going to be selling to either Paramount, Comcast, or Netflix. And Warner Bros. Stock, if you hadn't paid attention, you would never guess that it was up over 100% this year. But it's looking like people are highly interested in their assets. They have a lot of good, um, legacy brands, superheroes, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, and many more. So they are getting bids from a lot of companies. I'm a little curious on why Disney is not in that list of people that is interested in acquiring these assets. Maybe Disney wouldn't be allowed to. Too much of a monopoly. Possible question. I'm also wondering how the once we know the price that Warner Bros. Actually sells for, and what other companies were willing to value their brands at, if that will affect other content, major content companies that have their own brands, such as Disney, Netflix, and the likes. If people, it looks like people are paying up for Warner Bros. So I wonder how if Disney will be looked at more attractive. Netflix, which stock has been dropping of late as well. So we shall see. Few more topics to go through. Another stock, like I said, similar to ASTS, I want to bring up the Oklo and really the whole nuclear sector today. They are all rising after Jensen Huang's comments, so we'll talk about them. If there's any other stocks that are making big moves today, or just any stock in general that you want to hear talked about on the stream, let us know in the chat. We're happy to answer any of your questions specifically. So don't be shy if you're watching on X or YouTube. Just name the ticker in the chat and we will be happy to look at them, give our opinion in Prospero throughout the stream here today. I don't know how many of our viewers, I know we have a lot of, finance specific viewers. Are you guys familiar with Mr. Beast? I was surprised. I'm someone who's on YouTube a lot, so of course I know Mr. Beast because he's the biggest YouTuber in the world. But when I brought him up before with George, George didn't know who he was. We have a story about him today, so I'm wondering if our viewers will know him. Either way, he is, like I said, the biggest YouTuber in the world. He filed a trademark for Mr. Beast Financial. And this is an interesting spin of a creator into financial services space, which I'm not sure how this is going to work out. Mar, you're unfamiliar with him? So he's the creator of, well, first of all, the Mr. Beast YouTube channel, which gets, not millions, not tens of millions, hundreds of millions of views per video. It's pretty crazy. But now he's launched, consumer brands like chocolate bars, and you've probably heard of like Lunchables, the like child's lunch snack. He launched a competitor for there, but and those have done well in consumer brands. But I'm wondering now that like a financial services brand, will people be quick to adapt that from a creator? It seems like something you need a lot of trust, which is something we always talk about at Prospero, how we're trying to build with the people who use our app and are involved with our ecosystem. So I'm wondering if this will be a dud, even though he is the biggest creator in the world and has a lot of people directly accessible who would probably be excited to use one of his businesses. Let's look at some individual stocks here and see how the Mag 7. Let's see how Bitcoin is moving today. Um, and then we'll hop into the topics once George gets in here. All right, I have Apple in the red. So I expect a lot of these stocks to be in the red today as the markets are overall in the red, but we shall see. Amazon also red. Google red, but that has been on such a tear as of late. Oh my goodness, Google came out of nowhere and then it was just unstoppable. Ever since the April low, it has over doubled, so pretty crazy. But down today with the overall weakness we're seeing in the mega caps. One mega cap that's actually breaking the trend is Meta, which did I skip the story? I actually do have a story about Meta. I must have skipped it when I was going through my list, skipped over it on accident. They announced that they're going to cut back metaverse spending by up to 30%. And we've seen how these stories of the lack of faith in Zuckerberg spending money affects Meta negatively and positively, depending on which way the story is going. This one was a positive one, as they will be doing less spending. So the stock was up as much as 6% earlier today. Now it's up 3.5% about, but it is breaking the trend of most of the Mag 7 stocks. Actually, Microsoft and Tesla are both slightly green as well. So we're seeing more of a mixed day. Check in on NVIDIA. NVIDIA has been getting a lot of um, seemingly competition now from all sides, with Google and Amazon announcing new chips. They are in the green though. If you guys like, our live streams and follow a lot of, financial content, I'd highly recommend the Jensen Huang Joe Rogan interview. I didn't watch the full thing yesterday. I watched like half of it, but it's great to hear Jensen Huang's mindset, his story, how NVIDIA started, some of the gambles he had to take and obstacles he had to overcome. You look at them now, they're the biggest company in the world, but there was a couple times in NVIDIA's history where it came down to one person making a decision of, helping or hurting the company that saved their ability to, maintain in business. So pretty crazy to hear that from Jensen Huang. Anybody got any questions, any stock specific you want to hear brought up today? I think we'll probably have a little bit of a light audience today because we are at a random time. Typically, we're live Mondays, 11 a.m., Wednesdays, 3 p.m. But with the holiday break last week and then George's travel plans getting back this week, he actually got back just today. So we had to shift our schedule a bunch. So I appreciate you guys. We've had over 300 people actually already tune into the stream. So I appreciate you finding us, even though we're at a strange time here. Hopefully, I'm not certain, but I believe we should be back on a more normal schedule as of next week. So hopefully Monday, 11 a.m., Wednesday, 3 p.m. should be good to go. Got more holidays coming up right around the corner. So the stream schedule is probably going to be a little bit wonky here for also like towards the end of the month, but we'll do our best to get them all in. And yeah, let's see. I forgot to check on Bitcoin, so we'll give a look at Bitcoin here. We have still been getting a lot of new subscribers on YouTube, which has been great. I think people have been watching the shorts videos. Where's Bitcoin? All right, let's see. Bitcoin seems to have just continued it's been lagging the overall markets, it seems like. Even when the market was super bullish before the recent pullback, it didn't seem like Bitcoin had that, energy in it. And it is red here today, down about 1.33%. It has climbed back over the 92,000 mark after hitting a low of like 82-ish thousand on November 22nd. So up 10% off the lows, but not quite feeling that same energy as a lot of these growth stocks. Hello, George. Welcome back to the USA. It seems like you brought the momentum with you here today, the way that some of the stocks are moving in the market.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't even I've been so busy, I haven't even checked on. I have some catching up to do. I haven't even checked on the performance of the portfolio. I mean, I guess ASCS is really carrying us, um, but yeah, it's been very busy. Very good trip to London. Prospero and myself really making waves at the Modern Invest Summit. Excited to be back. A lot of good stuff to talk about.
Yeah, that is great to hear. And, happy to hear that the trip went well. Everybody hopefully is that you were chatting with overseas is now on the Prospero app and checking out our signals today. Maybe we got even a few new viewers tuning in who just discovered Prospero and our community ecosystem. So welcome in everybody if you're new. It is an odd day in the market today, a little because like we've seen the mega caps drive the market movements, but kind of everything has either been bullish when the mega cap tech and largely AI stocks are bullish, or bearish when they're not. But today we're seeing the markets overall in the red. The QQQ, SPY, Dow, all red right now. But we're seeing huge moves in a lot of those momentum sectors like nuclear, quantum, and the likes. You were talking about ASTS, Oklo's up a bunch too. All of those stocks that kind of had the most momentum before we saw the pullback seem to really be recovering today. Let me take a
Growth is
live
on the
look.
menu again.
Yeah. QQQ net option sentiment is 19, SPY is 6. So how much are you trusting this big moves in a lot of these more growth companies that we're seeing today? You think it's like a one-day dead cat bounce, or are we starting to see a new maybe rally here in a lot of these companies?
I mean, the thing is, like, if you look at the SPY and QQQ charts, they were getting close to the all-time highs again, while a lot of these growth names were still depressed. So I think we're just seeing those catch up, more bullishness around interest rates. We're going to write a letter on this tomorrow, but I have to say, like, I really do think we're starting to see like the power of like Prospero and our system and everything. I was on a panel. The reason I went, I wasn't originally going to go, but Finamize actually put me on a panel with like, some, real heads of research, like one from like the IG group, very big company. So he couldn't turn down my ascension into, we're still a small company. To be viewed like that, I think is a testament to, our signals, the community paying attention to us, all of that. I ended up talking a lot on that panel. Probably doesn't surprise anyone to hear that. But the person running the panel actually came back to me at the end for the final word. And I had pitched some stocks that you've heard me pitch before, like LEU, UUU, and ASCS. Those were my, like, basically I got asked a question if we were in an AI bubble. And I was just like, maybe not. Like, I've been in AI for a long time. Like, yes, I think by the definition of a bubble, we are. But I think the important question is how much more can this run? And I don't think anyone has a good answer to that. So I was like, I like to simplify things. I like to look for structural advantages. Like like nuclear is definitely going to expand in the U.S. and LEU and energy fuels UUU are as good a position as anyone to capitalize off of that. And then ASCS, you've seen me write about this. Basically, when they came back at me at the end, I had mentioned all those, and I was just basically like, one stock, it's got to be ASCS. And I was just like, Starlink's really their only competitor. Even generative AI told me that. And then you look at some of this other stuff, and you have, they have deals with AT&T, Verizon, Vodafone. You've heard me talk about that. But from when I made that my stock of the year, Coinbase was my stock of the year last year for 2020. Like when I made ASCS my stock of the year for 2026, it's up 25% since I stepped off the stage. So, I said that to a room full of 500 people. I'm not saying this like bounce is all George Kalis or all Prospero. But I don't think my pitch to a room full of that many people was a non-signal. So yeah, like it's where I start. I think it's pretty cool. Those that have followed us for a while, we've been doing this, a very similar thing, even when many people weren't paying attention. So, it's a testament to you all, the job Steven does to get this content out to everyone. But yeah, pretty cool. Whether or not me saying anything had anything to do, it's pretty cool to get on a stage, recommend a stock, see it up, 25% since you step off that stage.
Well, you'll just have to send in the Prospero Discord the next time you're going to share a stock on a stage before you do it, if this is the type of power that you're gaining in the markets. But I do want to double click on ASTS. I just want to, like, if you could, like, as simply as you can put it, why they are so attractive to you. Like, there's so many stocks that look good. I know you said their only competitor is Starlink or whatever, and they have contracts. But what about them is so attractive in like just simple terms versus like all the other sea of growth companies that are out there?
I mean, I think the first thing is that I think it's just that simple advantage, right? Like I called like space broadband inevitable, right? And if it's inevitable and one of the companies, not even with the largest provider, Starlink, is tied up, and then ASTS is kind of free to roam, right? What I said is like, okay, AI hardware also inevitable. But the point that I brought up is like I'm in this networking group. I'm actually hosting a holiday party for this networking group tonight. So I have a very busy day back from London, right into a holiday party that I'm hosting. I'm looking at a chat that they had, and people were like, should I go with CoreWeave? Should I go with Nebius? Like, I don't know. And like, these are people that are experts. They have no idea which hyperscaler to go to. So, and they even said, you might get better discounts from a Series A company. So it's like, if the people that know this better than anyone else can't even select between these companies in a sales process, like, how are people supposed to like? And so it's just like, okay, AI hardware and inevitability. Broadband satellite phones, an inevitability, right? But one of those inevitabilities has a much clearer and simpler picture of who the winners are. The other one does not.
Yeah, it sounds like they have a moat that is pretty certain, and there's only one other company when everything else is being challenged, but there's a sea of competitors. So interesting. And I imagine that that industry of like cellular in space is I don't know if it's tens of billions or hundreds of billions of revenue opportunity. Like, do you have any idea what the total addressable market is for them?
I don't know.
Because it seems like I asked that because it just seems like people are. I've seen very large predictions of where the stock can go in the future. So I imagine there's tons of potential revenue to be gained.
Okay, so cellular mobile brand broadband's TAM is it's a pretty small number, 1.1 trillion, according to ChatGPT. For the broader LEO satellite industry, low Earth, 200 billion. But yeah, even 200 billion when there's only two major players, and one of them is tied to not even the biggest provider.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fascinating stuff. I'm also wondering because it was, kind of announced, but not really, of who the next Fed chair is going to be. The prediction markets all went one way recently. It's as high as 75% now for Kevin Hassett, who's looking like he's going to be the next Fed chairman after Jerome Powell. We're also expecting a Fed rate cut next week. Do you think the market? I don't know much about Kevin Hassett. I imagine he's going to be very dovish for the market and in terms of the rate cutting expected cycle. Any thoughts there? Do you think that's playing into the rally we're seeing it all today, and also the rate cut we're expecting next week now from Jerome?
Definitely, right? I mean, I think it's only a matter of time before Powell's days are numbered, one way or the other. And I don't think it would be out of place to say that Trump is going to have a lot of influence on whoever is the next Fed chair, right? And he talks about like lowering it as much as 2%. And like, we talk about probabilistic models all the time, right? Like now there's some, not too far away future where those, we could be dealing with like substantially lower interest rates, right?
Yeah, that was kind of what I was going to ask you also. Like, it seems like Trump's probably going to have a large influence, like you said. And his comments have been so bullish in terms of like what the market would want to hear. I wonder if the market is now, since a person has been picked, and maybe pricing in the fact that Trump will get his way, like using those comments that Trump has said in the algorithms and whatever they're predicting models. What's like a realistic, like the first rate cut this new Fed chairman could do? Like 2% has to be, there's no way, right? Like maybe a half a point, maybe one. But do you have
I
any
mean, that's
idea?
an
Like,
interesting question, right? Because there's still like whoever is the Fed chair still has other people to answer to, right? Like they're like, but you don't know if everybody's going to fall in line, right? So, I mean, I think we could easily see 1%. I don't think we're going to see 2%, just because it's just like, I think that's kind of a headline number that, Trump likes to say things that buoy the market. And to me, that's what makes sense there, more than anything. Like when it comes down to it, it's like, it's not even smart to do it that way. Like do it 1%, and then you could do another 1%, one meeting from now, 2 meetings, like, that kind of thing is, you don't really know what, like that big of a move could shock the markets, like more than, it's one of those things that we always talk about where it's just like, you don't necessarily like, you don't necessarily want to put all your good news, all your announcements all in one place, because you could end up just like shooting up a stock so high that the only place it has to go is down, and then you don't have any announcements to follow that, right? So if you cut them all in one meeting, that's not even a smart way to deploy, whatever you're willing to cut.
Yeah. And like a 1% cut would be huge. But when they come out and say he wants 2%, I guess 1% sounds more, stomachable for everybody. So maybe that's really more of his intention than actually suggesting a 2% cut, taking place, more just setting expectations.
There's also always a difference between what Trump says and his policy, like what the actual policy happens, right? It doesn't mean he doesn't follow through on things. He does. But not everything he says ends up being policy in the exact same numbers that he's discussing. So I think you do have to take these things with a grain of salt as well.
So we got some numbers out of Adobe Analytics over the 5-day Thanksgiving shopping window. What used to be Black Friday, 24-hour window, has now ballooned to 5. But for that 5-day window, it is up 7.7% in terms of spending from last year, and it reached $44.2 billion. So I guess a good early sign of the holiday shopping season and the consumer maintaining strength against all odds, seemingly. But how much importance, or how more bullish do you feel hearing those numbers were good so far this year?
I mean, I think we're definitely seeing like a bit of a Santa rally among other things. So yeah, I think that next week's meeting is going to be really important, in the sense that, I think there's going to be a cut. 87% says there's going to be a cut. But I think what Powell says, he definitely threw a lot more cold water on it, like that they were considering not doing it for this meeting. If they end up doing a cut, he might get more serious in that language. I mean, if he doesn't get more serious in that language, people have responded, jobs numbers are coming in a little soft. I think as long as he doesn't pour even more cold water than it does, we're gonna see a pretty strong rally.
Well, one stock that was rallying today based on a headline was Meta, which I'm wondering how you're feeling about them currently after they had looked so bullish in our signals and had been so unstoppable for so long. Now they're kind of facing their first, prolonged bit of weakness that we've seen since really we've been doing these streams. But they were up today as much as 6% after it was announced that they are going to cut metaverse spending by as much as 30%, which was music to the market's ears. And it's so fascinating how these spending stories work on both ways for that stock more than anything else.
No one there's nothing that Wall Street likes to hear more than Mark Zuckerberg's reining in his R&D spending, right? That's that's ear candy for them. But yeah, I mean, but it's one of those things that we, I think this year more than ever, with all the volatility, we've come back to the same stocks, and we look for that consistency with, it's not just what's looking good today. It's also and it's kind of funny, it's nice to be validated. I think someone asked last week, why do you keep adding ASTS, right? They're having this Bluebird launch. And it's you need it both ways, right? Like that's why I'm always so active in the management, right? I could have easily seen the Bluebird launch. I could see it, it had gone down and then start rallying next week for the launch, right? You never know the time, but you don't want to be in late, right? That's why we kept getting in. Like anytime we would see it go down, we're like, shit, it might go down, another 5% today. Let's just get out. We'll come back to it tomorrow. We'll see how the signals look. But yeah, I would say this year more than ever, we're really, really looking for consistency.
With Meta, you have a company that changed their entire name for the metaverse. You had them spending, tens of billions on this. I feel like there's been almost no. I know they have the VR glasses and all this, but there's literally been and they have the Oculus, yes, but these aren't like popular really things. I mean, it makes sense that the market is reacting so positively. It feels like, and like, are we going to see them completely abandon this over time, or do you think this is just taking way longer for the tech to catch up with the vision that Zuckerberg had?
I mean, I think the metaverse is, we were talking about inevitabilities, right? I think the metaverse is inevitable eventually, right? I don't think it's inevitable in the next, year or two or whatever. But you look on like a 5-year time span, I have a very hard time thinking that it's not, we're not going to see some, serious, it's just like it's just the path of where we're going. But yeah, it's I mean, and that's not even why like I talk about them as one of my, I like some of the stuff that they're doing in our R&D. Obviously, I like them cutting the budget for that because I just think it's like, we talk about it all the time. It's frontier tech. You don't want to be too early to frontier tech, but I don't think the investments they made are going to be useless investments. They might be antiquated by the time that gets there, but it's not bad to have an expertise in something that's going to eventually happen. I think they were just early and they probably deployed way too much money, and you don't even know how much of it is going to be useful. But
I have a question. You think it would be beneficial for them to like spin off that entire business from their main one?
no, I mean, because you're not going to get much for it, right? You're not going to get much for it, and then you lose the upside of what you already invested in it. But yeah, I mean, the reason I like Meta is because their unit level economics are getting better. They're the ad efficiency, their profitability, time spent, using them, like profit per user, like all that kind of stuff is going in the right direction, and that's exactly what you want.
Mm-hmm. We haven't brought this stock up much this year, and it's been a sneaky good stock to have in the year 2025, up about 126% year to date. And that stock is Warner Bros. Discovery. And they are currently going through a bidding war between Paramount, Comcast, and Netflix. It looks like they're going to be selling to one of these companies pretty soon. It's expected by the end of December, I believe. Some of the brands they have are the DC superheroes, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, Looney Tunes, Scooby-Doo, HBO. Are you surprised? I named Paramount, Comcast, Netflix. Are you surprised Disney is not in the mix for Warner Bros? Would that be too monopolistic and they're just like not they know they wouldn't be able to go through with it? And then also the fact that Paramount, Comcast, and Netflix are bidding up Warner Bros. Does that benefit a stock like Disney, showing that people are still willing to pay up for those powerful brands of media entertainment?
I feel like you're kind of obsessed with Disney, Steven. You're always trying to make Disney a thing.
I thought we hadn't talked about this in a while. That would be interesting.
Eh, I don't think Disney's trying to acquire because I don't think Disney's really in a place to take any big swings right now. I think they're trying to just get back to their core business, which I think is smart for them. I think they were taking too many big swings. But yeah, I mean, I think as much of these brands as Warner Brothers has, I think people are like pretty. I think people are pretty hesitant to price this stuff with all this AI. Like, I don't think we yet know the answer. I gotta be right back. I don't think we yet know the answer to the question of like how much is this going to devalue existing properties when we can start like making our own things. I'll be right back. But talk.
Yeah, George is going to be right back, everybody. We've had over 1,000 people tune into the stream today, so thank you everybody for finding us on a weird time and a weird schedule this week. Hopefully you've been enjoying the topic so far. Hit the like button if you have, if you're watching on X, YouTube. Appreciate you. Follow, subscribe. By the way, I said in the beginning, and as always, if you have any specific questions, we got about 10 or so minutes left in the topic portion of the stream before Model Portfolio, but feel free to comment them. I actually muted you, George. What'd you say?
I said, luckily we'll be back Monday, so.
Yes, you don't have to wait too long for our next stream as well. Actually, if we have any new people in here, Mondays 11 a.m., Wednesdays 3 p.m. is the normal stream schedule, Eastern Standard Time. So we're pretty good about it. So you can mark those on the calendar, catch all the Prospero streams. A few more topics I have for you, George. One very interesting chart I saw, which was constructed by Goldman Sachs, was a chart since the launch of ChatGPT in 2022, which we just came up on the 3-year anniversary of, kind of the whole start of this AI cycle. They did a chart for if you take out AI stocks from the S&P 500 and the performance with and without them. They didn't give the exact stocks. I imagine it's like the Mag 7 and very, other very tech heavy stocks. But the performance difference is pretty crazy. So, in just 3 years, the performance without those AI names is a gain of 25%. And including the AI names, it's a gain of 73%. And the CAGR of it is 20%, a little bit more with the AI names, and about 8% without. So things have been pretty pedestrian without the AI names. Do you think we're reaching a tipping point or a peak of this? Or do you think it will continue in this direction for the next 3 years, say?
I mean, I don't know. It's like, I feel like this is like pretty much what I said. It's too hard to know. It's not really about AI specifically, right? As long as people are excited about growth stocks and the overall direction of the economy, and things like bull cases, like interest rates being lowered, or the government supporting business in other ways, buying shares or whatever. As long as people are bullish on growth, AI is going to trade at some multiple of that, right? Like, there's no way that AI is going to go down and the S&P is going to go up. I just don't see that. I think it's going to be some multiple. I think the two are very tied, but AI is going to be some positive or negative multiple of what the market is doing. So it's not a question of like the AI bubble. It's a question of like how long is the market going to be frothy? How long is retail going to continue to help it be frothy, right? So I think that's the important question. I don't think anybody knows the answer to that question. Because we know some things, right? We know that this administration really cares about the health of the stock market and will do things to prop it up. We also know that the market doesn't do well in midterm election years. And we know that like this shutdown was like the longest that we've seen. Like it's the longest that I can remember. So yeah, that makes it pretty difficult to assess.
It sounds like you wouldn't be expecting it, when we were in the peak of this most recent pullback, people were beginning to, it seemed like some people were beginning to worry like this is the end, like this is the final reckoning day. And it obviously hasn't occurred, and some stocks are recovering here nicely since the low we reached. Do you expect pullbacks in the future to be like the one we've just had, and this reckoning that everybody has been, saying it's about to come, it's about to come, it's about to come? It's never actually going to happen for the foreseeable future.
I don't think it's never going to happen, right? Like I do think if the shutdown continued, right, I think we would have seen a bigger dip, right? So I don't think the market's impervious, but I do think it's strong.
Mm-hmm. And it seems like it's just so factor dependent that you can't say for sure unless you know the factors of the of the future, which we don't.
Yeah, right. Like, do we know? Like, we know that Trump wants to that Trump and his administration wants to the market to do well, but do we know that there isn't going to be another scuffle with China or another tariff issue? Do we know that there's not going to be another big escalation of some kind between the Democrats and Republicans? Like, we just delayed the budget situation, right? Like, I think there are I think that's what happens when you kind of say my biggest bull case for there not being a correction is I think the government will do everything possible to prevent a strong correction or even a crash, right? Otherwise, you never know what's going to get it off the rails, right? But the flip side to that is when you're depending on the government to prop something up, then you're depending on a highly, unpredictable and complicated entity relative to, other things you can look at in the market.
Mm-hmm. So since we're seeing a lot of these growth stocks recover today, I wanted to get your latest thoughts on which of those sectors that we had been covering for most of this year: quantum, nuclear, space, neo cloud was one of them that was very hot. Your thoughts on those overall and the growth area of the market. Which one do you still like best at the moment? Know you're very bullish on ASTS, but as a sector
Nuclear
overall,
and space telephones. That's where I'm at. Those two. That's what I said yesterday. I'm all about it.
did you catch any of Jensen Huang's comment? He was just on Joe Rogan yesterday, and he was very bullish on the nuclear energy sector.
I mean, it's the only way we're gonna fill this. Everybody knows it's the only way we're gonna keep powering this country in the AI boom long term, right? So if you're bullish on AI, still you should be more bullish on nuclear, right? Because AI, like I said, not as clear winners. The winners are going to be more distributed. You even see what happened with NVIDIA. NVIDIA posted an outstanding earnings, and this TPU story overshadowed it when that's insane because the market is going to buy up every TPU, every GPU that gets produced. So NVIDIA doesn't have a sales problem. How much of an existential threat are TPUs? Even if we don't know, we know that they sell two of their three biggest, NVIDIA's two of their three biggest clients or Mag 7 or blah, blah, or whatever. I think now with with Google doing this, maybe we can say Amazon and Microsoft are those companies. But even if they lose those people, which is just very unlikely that they could lose them completely because that's a lot of TPUs that Google has to produce. And, we just don't even know if they have that capacity. But even if they do, the rest of the market is expanding so fast. There's so many variables, but there's not a lot of clarity, right? And there's a lot of I would say NVIDIA more than any stock that I've seen, I think it's losing some of its momentum. And I think it's losing some of its momentum for the exact reason that we're talking about, that there's a lot of other players in the market. People are starting to say the kind of thing that we say, where it's just yeah, NVIDIA is a great company, but is NBIS going to grow more, going to grow faster? I think a lot of people are saying yes to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very hard to know. I got one more topic for you for the stream today. I want to thank everybody that's found us here. Appreciate you guys watching. Hit that like button if you've enjoyed it so far. Mr. Beast, who I brought up before on the stream, the biggest YouTuber in the world, he has trademarked Mr. Beast Financial, and he's planning on launching some financial services and crypto services. Now, I am curious to hear your thoughts on how a content creator launching a financial services business is going to go, because we've seen them launch consumer products before and it goes pretty well. But we talk about it on how your thoughts of building Prospero, gaining trust of your users. Could this potentially blow up for him since he has seemingly no knowledge in the space and is kind of using his name to build the business more so?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very hard, right? Because I don't know enough about his product. Like, I would have to get into specifics of exactly what he's offering. Like, if it's as simple as like a bank account, right? That might do very well. Like, once you start getting into like wealth management products, like, yeah, it could do well. It is a lot about trust. But it's not a 1-for-1, right? Like, take this to the extreme, like, just to use, like, not to like hate on YouTubers, right? Like, everybody really likes Jensen Huang. Like, if Nvidia and trust the stock, like, people like the products. If they came out with a financial services product, like, would people buy it from them? I don't know. It probably depends. So, like, yeah, that trust question is hard to answer, and it's highly specific.
We'll have to keep our eyes peeled on it. I imagine it's going to get a lot of adoption since he just has such a big audience, but we'll see how it goes if it gets off to a hot start and then loses steam. The time to do the switch over?
Yep.
So everybody stick with me. We'll catch up with George on the other side in just a moment. Appreciate you guys watching till the end. What we're about to do, if you're new, is the model portfolio update. So we'll make live moves to the model portfolio, which has outperformed the market year after year after year after year. But you'll get to see the moves we're making live here, some adds and drops in the portfolio. Let's see if the markets are still in the red or if our stream has cheered up the investing world. No, it doesn't seem to be the case. We are seeing the QQQ, SPY, and Dow Jones still in the red, Russell in the green. So the Russell has some strength going on. That's probably due to what we're seeing and what we covered on the stream today of a lot of those more growthy stocks, smaller cap companies having great days in the market today. So the Russell is kind of outperforming, showing a little bit of strength there. We should see if this will continue towards the end of the year with the Santa rally people are wanting. Let's take a look at QQQ and SPY net option sentiment one more time before George makes the moves. Oh boy, the SPY is at 0. Uh-oh. Back towards 0. And it was as high as 35 just yesterday. So it is all the way back down to the bottom. Not great to see there. QQQ is at 21 currently. And the QQQ was as high as 55 at the end of November and has been pretty volatile. One of the more volatile periods for the QQQ net option sentiment in a while. If you're a Prospero user and you have the Prospero app, you can pull up QQQ. And once you're in it individually, you can scroll down to its time series graph. And it starts on November 21st at a low ranking of 4, down to 0, all the way up to 55, and then all over the map since then, going up and down between 14 and 44, now at 21. So it looks like a little bit of maybe risk off in the levels of net option sentiment here as we are. Oops, how do I get George back on? There we go. Interesting, George. I've just pulled up SPY QQQ NOS, and we're seeing SPY at 0 here after it was a lot higher just a few days ago. So a little bit of a pullback there in those levels.
What's going on? Okay. God, this is going to be a rush again. I've just been rushing all day.
Does it feel like it's 9 or 10 o'clock for you right now?
No, because I kind of slept on the plane all the way in. Where's QQQ and SPY net option sentiment at?
QQQ is 21 and SPY is 0.
Oh, shit. I don't think I have time to do everything. Well, portfolio is doing pretty well. Wait, is NXPI along? I don't know if I've seen that in a while. Okay. Let's do this, George. Oh, Brent took some real liberties with this portfolio. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen yet, am I?
No, you're not.
Some real liberties, Brent. I don't know if I would have flipped this far. Long, short. But that's why you don't leave. Brent's doing what Brent's gonna do. Okay, let's get that going. Okay.
Still just you and me up here, by the way.
Oh. I was like, did everybody leave? Oh.
The healthcare rebound looks to be losing steam. But on the other side, energy is looking like the stronger sector.
Okay, George. You could always tell how hard I'm working by how much I'm talking to myself. Brent went real crazy. No, I don't even care. We're just doing it this way. We got things to do. We got to get to the goddamn investing portfolio as well. We definitely want to trim. Trim the longs. I don't really like this. Well, time to get out of the Getty. I don't know. I'm actually going to stay in one of them because if it flips, we want to manage that risk. But tomorrow we will definitely think about making that change. Yeah, it looks like we will be adding some shorts, balancing this out a little bit. All right, best hurry. Oh, ASTS. How many opening ASTS positions do we have? Oh. Oh, Brent. It's the wrong way, Brent.
ASTS is 3.
Okay. Don't need any more of those. I don't see any. Okay, let's see what we're doing here. Interesting. Why not? We'll grab all 3 of those. Huh? Those all look interesting. Well, maybe Maybe healthcare is looking like a buy now. But we'll go short some healthcare too. Maybe not too small caps. Tilray makes me nervous. But okay, we're hurrying up. Wayfair just gotten slammed. I don't know if I want to ride that down. But I will take all of these. What's the trend on Wayfair net option sentiment?
Wayfair is trending. Kind of sideways to down very recently. It's currently at 14.
It's going to be one of those buzzer beaters. Oh, I think we do want. We'll take Wayfair in case it's okay.
Interesting. GameStop is on our short-term bull list right now.
What's
That's
the
when
trend
you know the momentum stocks are rallying.
What's the net option sentiment trend like?
NOS is trending higher ever so slightly. It's at 82 right now.
Why are they not giving me prices for LEU? It's weird. What up with that? Looks like we're a little late to get out of. Wow, no one did. Like, was there like a ticker change on LEU? Like, we're not getting any data for it. All right, we're out of Gen, out of FMC, out of Gen, out of FMC.
I see approval to uplist to the New York Stock Exchange. Could that be affecting it?
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to worry. I don't think we want to get out of LEU is the good news. All right, what's going on with OMC? That's very low. OMC, ESE. Okay, we're getting out of. Do we want to get into hood maybe? No, I don't. ESE. Jesus Christ. Never stops. I'll be right there. Sorry, I'm just finished. I'm wrapping something up. All right, FMC, and then we're at a Gen. Yeah, I'll be right there. Yeah, I'm saying. Okay, we're leaving right after this.
There's business to attend to.
Thank God. We're done. I got to go, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, George. Bye, everybody. Thank you guys for tuning in today. See you all Monday. Peace, everybody.